I'm a critic, and welcome back. We're continuing our deep dive into the NFL 2024 NFL Draft, and we're in the NFC South, and we're going to be talking about them Dirty Birds and the Atlanta Falcons. And I just have to ask lots of questions, mainly to my Atlanta Falcon fan faithful out there. What are you doing? What's going on? What is happening? I mean, have you ever been in a situation where you felt like, I want to buy this, and I bought it, and I spent probably more than probably people would say, and then you find the same model, younger, newer, and you say, I want that too, but then you're thinking, but the item you just spent a fortune on is already installed. Well, this is for a backup, which means you're saying that this is going to fail. So then why do that? That's the theme of the Falcons draft. Atlanta, you have screwed so many mock drafts. You have screwed so many teams. And I am going to be incredibly blunt with you guys. With the 8th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Michael Penix Jr., quarterback out of Washington. Now, a little side story here. When I do day one draft only, I play a game with myself. I make a pick, and if I'm right, I'm smiling. But if I'm wrong, I take a shot. Not bad. This year was pretty good. A lot of picks were very obvious. And some, like the Joe Alt to the Chargers, I kind of felt confident. The Brock Bowers to the Raiders was a luck, because I was just like, well, Atlanta screwed them, so Brock Bowers. And I was like, I got right, because I was expected to take a shot. Didn't do that bad this year. I think, let me see, what was my average? Let me take a quick little side note here. Let me see, what was my, the most I ever did was 4 shots in a row, so not bad. Not a bad day in the office. But when the Falcons were on the clock, everyone said Dallas Turner, because Atlanta, for some reason, have not been able to solve the question of how do you sack quarterbacks. Apparently, they have not figured that out, and Atlanta thought they were going to get Dallas Turner. Obvious. And then seconds before, there was a report saying Atlanta is interested in Michael Penix Jr. And I'm like, why you want a quarterback now? And before I could even figure out what was the next comment after that, they announced it. And I literally was like, oh my God. What are you doing? I am sorry. I know a lot of people in much more established venues have said the Falcons made this a smart decision for the future. Cool. Well, on my channel, I evaluate your draft picks and what they're going to do this year. That's how I evaluate. I evaluate, say, how much could these players in positions potentially impact the team to get those 3 or 4 wins and maybe surprise teams. Like, what are these players going to do moving forward? And the Michael Penix thing, in my humble opinion, just did nothing to Atlanta. They did nothing. It did nothing. Unless Kirk Cousins gets hurt and Michael Penix shows off, and then we all eat a lot of humble pie and be like, Atlanta, you're the deity, you're the genius. But we will still criticize you gave nearly $200 million to a quarterback with a torn Achilles and has not really proven anything in his whole entire career. So you did that. So either way, Atlanta, no matter what happens, even if you win the Super Bowl, you will still be criticized for this pick. Because you're still hoping that in the future, things will turn out right. That's what you're saying. You're hoping in the future it will turn out all right. But right now, it's not looking that good. Whether Michael Penix plays or not, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You could have got a position of need of a decade-long proportion. Vic Beasley was your best one, and ever since that Super Bowl season where you guys went to Super Bowl, he's playing at the UFL with the Arlington Renegades. That's how far Vic Beasley has dropped off the map. And he was your best sacker. So I guess you have not solved the problem. So if Michael Penix plays or not, cool. But can you sack quarterbacks? No. So you're going to get Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, and Bryce Young. Time to throw, because they're saying, oh, good thing they didn't get that once-in-a-lifetime talented edge rusher in Dallas Turner or any other great pass rusher. I have time to throw in the pocket now. Good for you. So even if you believe Michael Penix is the future, this year right now, it's still like the needle has not moved. The needle has not moved at all this year. So this guy is a later. And the only way I can say later is if Kirk Cousins gets hurt. Or Atlanta is so good that he plays in the last 2 games of the season because they have locked their position in the playoffs. That's the only reason why Michael Penix is going to play. But if they're in a tight race, he'll never play. And therefore that later becomes later as in next year later. And even then, that's not a guarantee next year later. We have to wait to see who's the smart one and who was the fool. We have to wait. So until then, that's why I evaluate draft picks now. Long rant, let's continue. With the 35th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft in the second round, the Atlanta Falcons selected Rook Ororo. How many Scooby-Doos? Defensive tackle Clemson. Now, in sheerness of understanding, you did address the defensive line, but does anyone feel that this one addresses the pass rushing side? I don't think it did. I don't think it did at all. And he is projected to be behind Grady Jarrett, who I feel like you're probably wasting his career. He would, you know how formidable the defense would be if he has a young, talented, pass rusher in Dallas Turner, and Garrett has already been a formidable force for that. Can you imagine the potential? I mean, you didn't even get an edge rusher. You got another interior defensive line, and I just feel like you're on a 3-4 defense. The interior defensive linemen are not as utilized as formidable as pass rushers compared to the outside, players of the 3-4. So you got another one. I still say now because of rotation, but I don't know how much of an impact he's going to make, especially when he's projected to be behind they're probably their best defensive player on the Falcons. I still get it now. He still gets it now, but the needle has not moved still. 2 picks in, the needle has not moved to make me feel like the Falcons are better. Yes, people said they're going to be division winners probably and in the playoffs, or make the playoffs if Tampa somehow wins it off, which that's a biased statement for a lot of people. But the needle has not moved to make me think definitely playoff bound. It still goes to maybe. So 2 picks in, still not making at least me feel yes. Then in the third round, with the 74th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Braylon Trice, edge, Washington. I am only surprised he went this low, this far. I thought he would have been an earlier second round pick, or at least a mid-second round. I'm surprised he went this far. Hell, there was even talk that he might have been a late first round for something that was really desperate for a pass rusher. But you got this guy out of Washington, another great defensive front that Washington had during his national championship run. To me, here, I don't know, maybe he's not meant to be a 3-4 defense kind of guy, because they have him third on the depth chart behind D'Angelo and Lorenzo. That sounds like a great dual shop owner. This is D'Angelo. I'm Lorenzo. And you're oh! Anyway. So, I feel like this might be the best pick so far in your early draft for Atlanta. But he's projected to be so low that I feel that watch him make some noise. Watch him make some noise in the preseason. I feel like he's going to skyrocket himself into potentially the position of major contributor. He's I have more confidence in Trice than I do with Oro. I have more confidence that he will make an impact on it, because to me, I feel like he's the one position that I feel like Atlanta really needs to address earlier, and they did so late, and he was there late. So it's like you were supposed to go earlier, and you were supposed to pick that position earlier, but both of you didn't. So I guess you guys are fit for each other, and I'm hoping he succeeds, because I don't want to hear another. Because you know, if the Falcons don't get sacks, the conversation is going to be, well, you could have, and that'll be just more distraction and more pressure on the Falcon team that for some reason has this aspiration of success when everyone goes, but Kirk Cousins hasn't really done enough to be considered that great. And apparently everyone else, the Saints and the Bucks, are considered like, well, they're long past. They were the two fighting for the division title more than you, Atlanta. But now since Kirk Cousins came in, the Falcons are just guaranteed a trip to the playoffs, apparently. This draft class does not make me feel that. And the guy that I feel like has the best potential early on is so far on the depth chart that I'm thinking, so I guess he's not that valuable, because I still think he's valuable. I think he's great. And I'm hoping he develops well into Atlanta. This is getting a very personal video. I'm not a Falcon fan. I just happen to live in Atlanta for like about 10 years, so seeing the Falcon fans, rightfully complain about their failures, I just feel like I feel their pain. Then, in the fourth round, with the 109th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Brandon Doris, defensive tackle, Oregon. He's projected to be a fourth on the depth chart. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I'm just looking at these defensive players that were vital to their team's success last year as a team, and they come into a Falcon team that I thought the defense was definitely their strength, and probably one of the top defenses last year. That their offense would have just been, just 10% better, maybe 20% better. Could have been in the playoffs and won the division easy. And I'm looking at these defensive players, I'm like, man, you guys are not looking at them with much anticipation. A lot of them are viewed so low on their position in the depth chart that I just can't help but feel like, but they were drafted so high. Usually when you see people in that position, I mean in the depth chart, and you find out that, wow, he's very low on the depth chart. He must have been a 7th round pick. Actually, no, he was almost a top 100. He was in the top 100. Why are you so low? Either the valuations or ESPN and commentator don't think the Falcons have drafted a good class that says the player they've gotten are considered at least contributors day one. I put him as later, but I hope he makes the roster. According to this depth chart, he's viewed as potentially being the last man out. Or, last man in, first man out, the way it looks like. I don't know. I'm feeling confident in Trice and Brandon, both Oregon and Washington's guys, more than I feel about the first two picks. But it feels like ESPN and NFL.com don't see that. So I'll be rooting for them in their corner. I feel like they got two potential steals that can contribute earlier and more effectively than their first two picks. That's how I feel anyway. Bertrand pick I like. In the 5th round with the 143rd selection, the Atlanta Falcons selected J.D. Bertrand, linebacker, Notre Dame. I like this pick too. Then again, I feel like the Falcons have very good young linebackers, and I feel like this guy is another great one. I feel like he's another good versatile player to come in there. And they have him so far, he's having as a third stringer. you got a lot of these young defensive players that I feel like how can this team be viewed as a potential division winner when a lot of their players seems that they're gonna they need time to develop, and I'm like, but I thought you want to win now. And also, do you really think Carolina's gonna wait? Tampa is going to stop, and New Orleans is just gonna quit? The Kirk Cousins should have been like, everyone we get needs to be considered potential starters or contributors in rotation now. But everyone just feels that they're here, they're talented, they're a little bit raw, we need to develop them, they need to get understand the schemes, we'll be okay. And I'm like, you could have got Dallas Turner. You could have got somebody that had the confidence and the charisma and the talent to be an impact day one. You could have had that. You could have gave Falcon fans confidence and not just saying, well, we hope the Michael Penix Jr. thing works out later and not now. Because if Kirk Cousins gets hurt, then you only have Michael Penix left, and you're kind of still, rolling the dice thinking, is it going to be good or bad? And you don't know. Hell, people thought Desmond Ridder was going to be the Falcon quarterback. Guys came into the offseason so confident last year. And then he's playing hopscotch with Tyler Heineke, that Desmond is now gone, and people are thinking, yeah, who thought he was the guy? Who thought he was the guy? Atlanta, I'm not an executive, I'm not a head coach, but I understand the fan base that just goes, what are we doing? What are we doing? Either these players are being poorly evaluated, or I just somehow drank the Kool-Aid and I feel like very confident in all of them. Man, JD, a lot of these defensive plays I feel really good about. But I guess I gotta wait for preseason to prove my point. Or they're all terrible, and they're all projected to be last stringers on their respective position because they were. But I have faith in these three defensive players. And now another one just to crush dreams. In the 6th round, with the 186th pick, the Atlanta Falcons selected Chase McLin. I can't pronounce his name. McLesel, running back, Alabama. You got Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. I feel like the Bijan Robinson pick last year was a knee-jerk reaction. I felt like maybe he could address another position probably more effectively. I think Tyler is underappreciated, and this just breaks more. I also thought you still had Cordell Patterson, that he was there too. He's not there anymore. But Bijan is definitely your Swiss Army knife player. Tyler's your downhill runner. You got your 1-2 punch. And then you got Chase here. You got two young running backs that, in my opinion, show no real signs of wear and tear and injury at least. And then you got this third running back into your rotation. And I'm just looking at going, I guess we'll see what he can do as a third down back in situations. But I thought Bijan was supposed to be this versatile player that if you get the ball in space on screen pass, that he would do it. So I feel like Tyler is definitely going to be your downhill runner, just eat the clock. And Bijan will be your every down back, and definitely probably one of your top receiving backs out there in the NFC South, not maybe the NFC. So I feel like you got your 1-2 punch and your third down back already. And all I can think of is that this guy's probably brought in here just to be, an extra pair of legs in case those two get tired, winded. Or he might just be too far down to do anything. I don't know. I have him as going as else, that he might just won't be utilized as fully to his potential, that he may be considered, valuable to another team that may be suffering running back casualties as the season progresses, that he may be considered, valuable to be traded for a late round pick or something, or maybe he just rides the bench, who knows. But I feel like you got Tyler and Bijan, that I feel like with that, especially with Kirk Cousins. I look at Kirk Cousins, I don't see him a lot as hand the ball off kind of quarterback. I feel they want to get, Moore and Mooney and London involved. Also get Pitts to finally look and play the way he was projected to be from day one. So how much running the ball are you really going to do when you have two backs that are already formidable themselves? Sorry, another pick that just doesn't make sense to me. Still in the 6th round, live the next pick, the 187 pick. This is a long video. 187 pick, the Atlanta Falcons selected Casey Washington, wide receiver, Illinois. You need receivers, I guess, another young, vibrant receiver. Maybe get some playing time late in the season. But we all know it's definitely going to be London, Mooney, and Moore moving forward. And Kyle Pitts probably will take that 4th receiving spot, maybe even the 3rd receiving spot statistically this year, because I feel like Kirk Cousins is going to get Pitts, overcompensate all the catches he probably missed, all the touchdowns he probably deserves, and probably get his first official, first team All-American, Pro Bowl accolade, best receiver of the weekend type awards. Finally showcase what he's valuable. Unless they trade him somewhere else, and that could happen. Sadly, I hope not. But Casey Washington, another wide receiver in a pool of Washingtons. This guy, Casey Washington, is projected to be a 2nd stringer behind Darnell Mooney. I don't know draft. I don't know the draft more with Atlanta. Or I don't understand what ESPN has against the Falcons by putting a 6th round, 187 pick receiver and then putting him number 2, but everyone else on defense somehow are ranked so low that they're viewed as they could potentially miss the 53-man roster window. I don't get it. I don't get it, guys. I don't. I thought the Falcons needed defense to make themselves more formidable in the NFC, but every defensive player they seem to get, just no one takes seriously. I don't know. With the last pick in the 6th round, the 197 pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Zion Lagoon, defensive tackle, Georgia. Oh, where is he going to be? Okay, I'm looking. Zion. Zion, buddy, are your names on the list? I'm looking. I don't see your name on the list. Are you sure you got drafted? You sure? Because I don't see your name on the depth chart. All defensive lineman position has been filled, and their 6th round pick defense out of Georgia. I don't see his name. I don't see his name on this mock draft, on this mock depth chart. I don't see it. I don't see this early. I don't see it. So, but defensive tackles are a viable asset and rotation for a 3-4. So I'm still giving you a later, but I don't see your name on the list, which I just can't help but feel like this ESPN have a grudge against the Falcons for some reason. Every defensive player they got is being projected to be nowhere near the rotation, nowhere near the starting lineup so much. And then they got a 6th round receiver. The needle has not moved. This video is too long. The needle has not moved for the Falcons. The grade for the Falcons, they're considered contenders. I cannot see why not. I can see them going to the conference championship game. So they're contenders in my book. I can see that. I can see them winning the division because Kirk Cousins is going to wheel his receivers to 1,000 yards. All players, and we'll get 10 wins in a weak division. Defense, screw the defense. If we score 40 points a game, I doubt our defense will give up 43 points a game to lose. So Falcons are contenders. This draft is, I don't get it. I hope it works, but if it doesn't, then you better eat a lot of that humble pie because it's going to come your way very fast. So that's the Falcons. We're going to go to a much team that I surprisingly would like better than this. We're going to talk about the New Orleans Saints and see have the Saints survived and potentially did something to make themselves feel better. Who knows? Until next time, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you very much for watching.